Jota, it's good to talk to you today.
Thank you.
One of the things that always strikes me that you play with this obvious love of football, just the sheer joy of it. So I was wondering, how did that love of football begin back in Portugal?
That love began when I was younger, obviously playing with my friends in the street, in the school, and it was just like happiness. We used to go like outside and stay like 3, 4, 5 hours playing with friends in our homes, in the schools, and it was just like joy all over. It was probably the happiest hour of our day, and whenever we just kicked the ball, it just made our day. Yeah.
Was it always football for you, or was there any other sports that toyed with your affections?
Now that's actually really funny to ask because, of course, football was the main thing growing up, and in Portugal is the king of sport. But there was a time that I was doing surf as well. So there was a moment that I thought like, okay, I can either be like footballer or a surfer. And nowadays I still do surf whenever I'm home. Yeah, it's another passion of mine.
Is that something that you only do in the close season, or is it just whenever you get any time off?
If I could do in Glasgow, I will do, but there's no waves in Glasgow or a weather to go and do. So yeah, if Glasgow had some good waves, I will definitely do it. But it has to be in the off season because that's where I go home or I go to another countries where I can go out and surf.
When you were growing up, and obviously you were playing football in the streets with your friends, but what was the first actual football team that you played for?
My first football team was Corroios. It's a team close to the place where I live. And I was there for like 1 month, and then some scouts from Benfica, they saw me and they said like, you should come and try to play in Benfica. And yeah, I said like, okay, let's go. And I remember that in the first 1 or 2 trainings, I didn't like it at all because everyone was just shouting, you know, and I was used to like a different mentality, just to play football, enjoy. No one was like competitive enough, you know. And when I went to Benfica, I could see straight away the difference between the one club and another club. And yeah, it was a massive difference. But then I said to my father, like, I don't want to come here anymore. Like, they are always shouting. And I was like 6 or 7, you know. And then my father just said, like, just come tomorrow. If you like it, you stay. If you don't like, you can go home and you don't need to come here anymore. And that was what happened. Like, I went in the next day and I loved it. And then it was just a matter of like getting used to. And the quality was so much, and to play for Benfica was actually a big thing because I've grown up as a Benfica fan, and all of my family just taught me the values of Benfica. So yeah, it was really good.
Again, go back to those memories of kicking the ball about with your friends, and a lot of people have seen last summer, you know, when you were on holiday and you ended up playing 5-a-sides in New York. Did that kind of take you back to just kicking the ball about for the enjoyment of it?
I would say that that's me, you know. Whenever I go to any part of the world, I always try to give a bit of my culture, and I always try to understand a bit of others' culture. And if there's a football around, I just want to play. So that's what happened in New York when I was like in a pier in Brooklyn. And I just saw some guys playing. They approached me. They didn't even know me. After that, they recognized me, but before they didn't know me. And yeah, I said like, of course I'm going to play a 7v7s with you guys. Yeah, I'm here for that. I didn't came for the buildings or for New York. I came for the football. Yeah, but in the end, it was a good experience.
And also, you made sure that you won the game as well.
Oh yeah. I'm competitive as yeah. I need to win. Like whenever I'm playing, I'm there to give my best and to enjoy, of course, and to be happy inside the pitch. But in the end, I want to win.
You mentioned about you know your family passing on the values of Benfica. I was wondering, is there a particular value that it's always stuck with you that you've kept throughout your career that's really important to you?
Yeah, I have this urge of speaking about Benfica because there's a word that there's no translation for that, which is mística. Mística is something that you can only feel as a Benfica fan. It's something that is inside you, you know? There's not a sentence that can describe this feeling. You really need to know what's Benfica and to feel what's Benfica. And I've grown up with that word, which is like, give the best of yourself, be humble, always fight for the colors of your badge, fight for your family, you know, because in the end we are all a family over there. So from a young age, that I just put that in my mentality, and yeah, I went forward to achieve things.
Do you think that's something that, you know, Celtic fans will, obviously there's not a translation for the word, but Celtic fans will relate to that in terms of how they see Celtic, of it being a way of life?
We can actually do like a challenge, because we could translate these words to a Celtic word if people want to do this. But definitely I relate with this, because I came from a very big club, and going to another big club as Celtic, this was kind of like an easy adaptation, you know? Like, I could feel the responsibility of playing in a very big club of Benfica and then in Celtic, so it just got easier. And in the end, it was all about performances and just to deliver the result, you know? And once you have these big fans supporting you, you really need to give them a lot.
We're doing this interview in the Gorbals, an area of Glasgow. It's always been known for having different cultures coming together, and kind of Celtic reflects that as well. I was just curious, when you come to a club like Celtic, is there any, when you're experiencing different cultures within the squad, is there anyone in particular that you've maybe found most interesting?
Cultures, like you mean in terms of players, like
Yeah,
nationalities?
Nationalities, yeah.
Well, I think that we have a lot of nationalities, so there's a lot of cultures. But in the end, I think football is like a universal language, you know? So we understand each other everywhere. We are here for the same goal, and we need to give our best all the time. And it's really good to understand how the philosophy of football works, like in Japan or in Sweden or in Denmark. It's just cool to be around these guys and to understand a bit of how did you grow up playing football? What's the mindset? Like, what's the things I do in Portugal that they don't do overseas, you know, and the opposite. So in the end, football will always be the same, but it's good to understand like how's the mentality of everyone.
And of course, you know, people that follow you on social media know that you decided to experience a little bit of Gorbals culture yourself.
Yeah, I think me as a player and wanting to be inside the roots of Celtic, I think it would be just cool to go around an iconic place where there's a lot of Celtic fans going, and just to live a bit of the experience that everyone has. And in the end, it was quite cool, because the memorabilia over there and the story in this place was just amazing, and I could transport myself to another era.
You mentioned about being able to experience different cultures of the different nationalities within the squad. Yeah. They obviously get to experience a bit of your culture. What do you think, or what do you hope that they take from you in terms of your values or your culture that you've brought from Portugal?
I would say that if they see the passion that I have for football, they could see through my eyes the passion that Portugal has of football, because it's all about football in Portugal. Like, everyone knows what's going on football. Like, we want to be on top of the next news, you know. And I think this speaks a lot about the Latino culture, because the football in South America is also very, very big, you know, Brazil and this kind of stuff. And I think we all get related in this subject, and in the end, it's just about the passion. So if my teammates can understand how much I love the game, I think they will understand how I grew up.
I mean, I said to you, I think it's obvious how much you love the game from the way you play. You've been here for 2 seasons at Celtic. Is there one thing that made you fall in love with the club since you've been here?
Celtic Park, definitely. The first steps in Celtic Park were quite unique, and I'm just grateful to be part of this experience. Everyone kept on telling me, like, once you go there, you will see what I'm talking about. You know, there's something different. And I said to myself, like, okay, let's see, because I've played in a lot of big stages in Europe, But yeah, like Celtic, there's not a few. And then they said to me, now just wait until you play Champions League. And I was like, oof, so this must be big. And I still get goosebumps speaking about this because once the anthem of the Champions League was on against Real Madrid, I remember looking at the crowd and I saw some faces like crying and people celebrating like it was a goal, you know. And you can feel how much this means to the people in Glasgow and to Celtic fans. It's something that goes beyond anything else, you know. And to be part of it and to have people so passionate about football just says a lot about Celtic.
In terms of growing up in your career today, if you can kind of look back, is there any one memory so far that you could, if you were able to bottle it up and keep it, what would it be?
I would say that winning a national trophy like a championship is always going to be like on top. I have plenty of them, so it's not fair from me to just individualize one, you know. So I would say like my debut for Benfica was probably one of the proudest moments for me and my family. It was something that I dreamed since I was young, and I could feel like, okay, I finally achieved the dream of mine from 15 years, whatever. So I would say that, but I think it's fair to say that the struggles that I have made me the football player nowadays, you know. People have the tendency of just looking to the success, but I think I learned much more from the mistakes that I made and in success and the struggles that I had to overcome myself. And yeah, I always look back to it.
Did you ever ask your family how that felt at that moment when they saw you in that jersey playing for Benfica for the first time?
I think there was just like an energy flowing around when I made my debut, you know, because it was a dream from everyone in my family for that to happen. My parents, they sacrificed a lot of their life, and my sister as well, for me to achieve this dream. You know, there was a lot of struggling. People usually just look at the moment itself, but they don't look back and they don't know what people actually made and helped me for me to be able to do this. So once I did it, I think it was just like a dream come true from my family, all of us, you know. So I can imagine that they were all very proud of that moment. And on my behalf, it was just like, okay, now you have to keep on pushing and just like achieve other things.
You've mentioned about whether it's here or when you're on holiday, you always want to experience the local culture. Mm-hmm. What has been the highlight or the best thing about the local culture in Glasgow that you've enjoyed?
So I would put this question in a different way. People often ask me like, what's the best thing of Glasgow? And I always say like the people. Yeah, I think the people are quite special. Like they are lively, you know. I like this kind of people. They want to live, they want to experience, they want to feel. And I'm all about these persons all over the world, you know. And I could find a place where people are definitely like this. So yeah, I just want to enjoy.
And I knew your answer would not be the weather.
Oh, definitely not. I couldn't say that.
Is there any other part of being in Glasgow, being in Scotland, that maybe the local culture that's either surprised you or puzzled you, whether it's, you know, the food, the fashion, the humour, or anything like that?
Oh, the Glaswegian banter. Yes, you guys are funny, I have to say. Wow. Yeah, definitely that. I think that sums it up. People have a different kind of humor in here, you know. There's a lot of personality on that. So yeah, I enjoy. Sometimes I don't understand, I have to be fair. For example, when Greg Taylor speaks, like it's difficult. But every day I'm starting to understand a bit more. So yeah, that.
And finally, you know, when you're reflecting so far on your journey, your career, there's always somebody or there's people who maybe influenced you or were important to you. Is there any one person who maybe even opened the door or was key to you being where you are now?
You mean in professional terms or like all around?
It could be professional or personal.
That's a good one. Okay. Yeah, I definitely grew up with a couple of idols. I always idolized Ronaldo in Manchester United. He was someone that I looked for always. And then I obviously follow his career. And then I started to see Messi as well, and he's just something else. He's special. And most recently, like Neymar as well. So these three guys have been my idols since I was young, in professional terms, of course. So they are someone that I look for just to replicate inside the pitch, things that they do, the things they see, and yeah, just to do that. Of course, doing my own thing and being true to myself, because like I have a persona and a player inside the pitch that I want to follow and just be the best version of myself.
And in terms of yourself, do you take something from everyone that you come in contact with, whether it's a coach or that helps you as well?
Even the bad things, you know, like I always take the best from what people can give to me. But of course, there's people that cannot give you the best as well. But you also need to understand that they are giving something to you, which is the realization that, okay, this is something that maybe I shouldn't do, you know. And once you realize that, I think you are closer to success. People often just look at the ones who have like amazing careers and a very good story, and you believe in his ideas, but everyone has something to offer you somehow, like in the corner, in the cafe, whatever. So I always look up for it.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.